Here on set is Alison with the newspapers. Alison, you're studying Malaysia, aren't you? The papers are hailing this historic election there.
That's right. If we take a look at local paper The Sun, on their front page they say Barisan Nasional swept out. Barisan Nasional is, of course, the party that had ruled Malaysia for the past 60 years. And the man responsible for sweeping them out was actually once a member of the party himself. This is the former Prime Minister, Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. He joined the opposition coalition just to knock his former protege out of office. And you can see him looking quite jubilant on the front page of another Malaysian paper, The Star. The photo caption they have there is "The joy of a returning prime minister." Dr. M, as they call him, is going to be sworn in soon. And inside the paper, they say he has really stepped into a special place in Malaysian history, making this comeback after 15 years out of office. He's going to be the world's oldest prime minister as well, at 92 years old.
Yeah, as you say there, though, he has held office before, hasn't he, Alison? But this piece, or pieces you found in the Financial Times talking about that many are really heralding a new era.
Exactly. That's what the Financial Times is calling it on their front page. They say Malaysians are waking up today to a new political era. And they note that it's unclear, actually, whether Mahathir will remain as prime minister because during the campaign, he promised to step aside after the election and give power to the jailed opposition leader Anwar Ibrahim. Now, Ibrahim is actually currently in jail on sodomy charges, although he's set to be released on June 8th. He denies the charges, and Mahathir is expected to pardon him. And I think while he's at it, maybe he could get rid of those anti-sodomy laws.
That as well. Let's move to the US. Lawmakers there, they're deciding whether or not to confirm Donald Trump's pick for CIA chief. This is Gina Haspel, isn't it?
Right, and she's a controversial pick because of her role in overseeing CIA black sites in the beginning of the year 2000, after the in the year 2000s, after the September 11th attacks, where people were tortured. This was the main topic senators were questioning on her during her confirmation hearing. And as you can read in the Huffington Post, while she did say she would not revive the torture program, she was sort of vague about condemning it as morally wrong. Her stance on torture really is key because Donald Trump has said that he himself loves waterboarding and not only wants to bring waterboarding back, but also a whole host of other worse things, he says. The Chicago Tribune was convinced, though, by Haspel's responses yesterday. The paper says she made it clear she wouldn't allow the CIA to carry out torture again. They also point out that, she has really a lot of experience, a very successful career behind her, and they feel that she should be confirmed.
New York Times, though, disagrees, doesn't it?
They do. They're much, much tougher on Haspel. They say she didn't come straight out and condemn torture and say that it is immoral. And that, for the New York Times, is really a deal breaker because, most importantly, they ask, what message would this send to the world to confirm someone who's so closely associated with actions of torture that go against U.S. values? At the same time, the New York Times does say that Haspel is incredibly competent. It's also worth pointing out that she would be the first female to head the CIA. So basically, it's left papers feeling a little bit conflicted over her candidacy, and you can see that sort of illustrated in this cartoon from cartoonist Pia Guerra. We can see Haspel may break that glass ceiling, but it would come at a price. That person there she's stepping on, the people she had a role in torturing.
Now, here in France, papers, they're troubled by a case of a woman who died after workers at the National Emergency Hotline, well, they just didn't take her call seriously, did they?
Yeah, no, this is a pretty horrible story, and you can actually listen to the recording of this call. This happened back in December, but the recording of the call was just released, which is why it's getting so much attention right now. In this recording, we hear the woman, her name is Naomi Musenga, telling emergency workers that she's in pain. She thinks she's going to die. They respond really quite coldly to her. The woman says, everyone's going to die someday. And we hear her making fun of the woman with a colleague. Musenga didn't get to the hospital until 5 hours later. She ended up dying. Libération, the French paper, talks about the deadly indifference of emergency medical workers. Now, the president of France's Emergency Medical Services has asked to meet with France's health minister to talk about this. He says that 30 years ago, France saw only 8 million emergency room visits a year. Well, today, that's more than doubled to 21 million visits. So basically, the emergency services are burned out. They need more money and more training for employees.
It's an incredible rise in figures, isn't it? Now, finally, from Alison, a word about a dangerous new craze. Of course, it's a craze, so it must be amongst teenagers.
It is, and it's sort of an alleged craze, Stuart. This is the alleged craze of burning their arms with spray deodorant. It's sort of a challenge, as much of these crazes are, right? The idea is to sort of spray yourself for as long as you can take it because it gives you a burning sensation and then some serious burns, as you can see in this photo from USA Today. It might remind you of another alleged teen craze that happened a little while ago of teens eating Tide laundry detergent pods. Now, the thing about all of these crazes that USA Today points out is that they really gain viral attention from the media despite there being little evidence that there are really that many teens actually doing these things. So it seems that the craze is more about the anxious parents who are raising awareness about the craze than the actual teens themselves who are doing it. One of our chief producers, actually, who's in his late 30s, he told me he used to do this when he was a kid with deodorant. Yeah, okay. So apparently it's also nothing new. That doesn't make it smart.
Yeah. I wonder if he had wounds like that.
I don't want to see if he has scars.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Alison. Alison with the Papers of France 24.